Hello. I'm always like on the back and no one sees me, but I'm like,
I know. I was back here. I'm like swaying to the music, and then I got annoyed because the same thing happened yesterday with Nia Stream. Is that I want to say almost right when we went live, somebody started cutting grass, and I was in the middle of swaying, and I hear the stupid grass people, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? What is this?"
they want to be part of the live. I first, welcome to the Romance Writers Room. This is the spin-off of the Writers Room run by Tiffany, Morgan, and Barrett here on YouTube. They did theirs last Sunday, right?
Yes.
Yes, so check it out. It was real fun. So I'll search for the link in a little bit. So
I
welcome,
think it was on my
welcome.
channel.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it was on your channel. Yep. Um, we are live. I'm sorry that we missed March writers room, Romance writers room, but
Oh,
we were all very busy, and this girl was sick as a dog. Like I was like from my phone telling everyone like I can't, literally can't.
it's okay. The OG writers room is missing next month, so.
Yeah. If we are all very busy, we are human, we get sick. So before I introduce the topic, let me go ahead and say hi to our friends. We got
Laura needs to be
Laura.
taking a nap.
Yes, if you're not in babysitting duty, you should be taking a nap.
I think she
Says you ate butter chicken. Oh, and rice. Made hot
I've
chocolate
never
for
had
me and
butter
the
chicken, but I
nephew.
keep hearing about it.
It's good. Especially because chicken, especially chicken breasts, can get really dry. When you do butter chicken, the butter really helps. If you do with thighs, then it's even like it will just break itself, and it's just
Okay. I
so
mean,
good.
I've like pan grilled, I guess would be the way to say it. Like chicken with
Hmm.
butter.
Yeah,
So that's about the
but you
closest
have
I've gotten to butter chicken.
yeah, that will be the closest, but you have to like butter, like
Okay.
butter. It has to be like a almost. I joke about this, but it's almost like a soup of butter. It's a lot of butter.
I can't help that whenever I think of like butter, sometimes when people are saying it, there's an interview with Anna Kendrick where she's talking about
Mhm.
the British Bake Off, and she's got some really strong feelings about it. And someone's asking her, would she ever go on a celebrity one? And she's like, no, I like to be in my kitchen with like a DVD commentary and like enjoying myself. She's like, I can't have all this stress of people saying things to me. She's like, I just like to be like, butter and sugar. And that's all what I think of when people are like butter. I'm like, butter and
Oh, that's so funny. Also,
sugar.
hi, JC. Hello, Morgan. Also, friends, after us at 5 p.m. Eastern, JC and Morgan at Morgan's channel will be doing author poetry open mic. So please check it out. Let me go through the comments. Hello, Dolores. Hope you're doing well. I know I have those days. Thank you. It is a fun intro. This is again, Tiffany. How much grass is there to cut? Apparently, a lot. Um,
Okay, and a fun twist of fate because I had to get up and close the window because I could barely hear you. It was getting louder. The reason that it's was so much louder is because this time it was my father cutting our grass and not some other random
oh,
person. He told me he wasn't cutting grass until like Tuesday.
that is funny. That is funny. Houses do have pretty big yards, so there's a lot of grass. Also, here is the link to the not Romans Writers Room, Writers Room
Mhm.
at Tiffany's last weekend uh, for the next 2 hours. So, I mean, we're not going to keep you company for the next 2 hours, but for part of it. The butter chicken was made with thighs, yeah, not fried
Ooh,
buns, and
I
with
like a good thigh.
I prefer breast, but I mean, I I can eat whatever chicken. I mean,
Yeah, I like a good chicken just in general, but
yeah.
yeah.
So, friends, we're gonna talk about short romance. As you may or may not know, Tiffany is part of the duo Des Lorraine, and they have how many already? 17, 18, 20 short romances?
Hold on.
I feel like the last time I asked you guys were like in 17 or 18. I should have wait. Let's
17, I
see.
believe, published. And then we have two that are like perma-free giveaways, I think. If I
Okay.
added that
Yeah.
right in my head really, really fast, because I was like, oh crap, how many? Uh,
Yes. Yes. 17. I was like, let me go to
but
Amazon and
it's
see the
one,
list.
two, three, four. It's four complete series.
Mm-hmm.
And then like we have like some that are holiday that are set in a small town. And then
That are
we have some
so
other
good.
kind of ideas in the works that we are currently trying to figure some things out for.
Let me share the link to the books if you
Mhm.
guys haven't read them. Here we go. Okay. So, and also, Tiffany, under her name, TL Russ, does have short romances too.
Mhm.
You have a started series, which is the Peach Ridge one, right? Let me
Yes,
go back.
there's
Yes.
two books under Peach Ridge, which is the short town, small town. Uh,
They have the jewels
and then there are four for the Jewel Agency, and it'll be five on Tuesday.
on Tuesday.
So
And
yes,
the pre-order is up.
yes.
So check it out. If you haven't started reading the Jewel Agency series, highly recommended, highly addictive, very easy to read, like super fast read.
All will
And
be revealed in book five.
yeah, everything will be like out in the all the secrets that you've been like dying to know. So I originally asked Tiffany to come for the short romance, not only because she has a lot of experience, uh, I'm pretty sure you did a similar research than I did when I was like looking into short romances. Um, I also publish short romances, but they're on the pen name that no one knows, so I can't talk
Okay.
too much about myself. So I like
We got
skimming
sneaky things
through.
going on. Uh,
So let me first the elephant in the room. What are Kindle short reads? So they're pretty much a Kindle category that is based on the page count of your manuscript. I'm gonna go ahead and drop a link to one of the articles that I read a long time ago about what Kindle short reads, and it goes a little bit. It goes more into like the word count and
but that's
our.
the thing,
Uh,
though. Because they do always, like, whenever you read the articles, they always break it down by word count. You know, like,
yeah,
is it like 10K? It might be like closer to like a an what 45-minute read or an hour read. If it's
yeah,
like 15, it might, to 20, it might be closer to like a 2 hour read or something
hmm
like that, or a 90-minute read. But what we found, because we literally, I think we have in Des Ray, we have two stories that both of them are within, I want to say, 100, maybe 200 words of each other. One is qualified as a Kindle short read, and the other one isn't
hmm
because of page count. So they really
yeah,
do need to put it under page count more so in
yeah,
these articles when they're talking about it, because it feels like that's really the defining point.
So see, this is the fun thing about this article. This is why this is the only article I'm gonna share because they break it down on page,
Oh,
and
good.
they do it. Okay, the like let's say the 45-minute reads is anything between 22 to 32 Kindle pages. And
Mm-hmm.
then they're like, this is approximately 6,000 to 9,000 words. And they
Mm-hmm.
always give you the caveat, your front and back matter count.
Matter. Yes.
So if you're aiming for that the 45-minute page read, you need to aim for even a lower word count
Mm-hmm.
because formatting and because your front and your back matter.
And don't like discard like what is it? Font choice,
Yeah.
font size, like
If you
spacing.
have any scene breaks,
Yeah. All of that counts in your page
yes.
count of it. So yeah, it's amazing how quickly you learn um,
Yeah.
the page
You could
conversation.
have literally two stories with the same workout and format them just slightly different, and they will end up in two different categories,
You can even format them the
time
same,
wise.
but because say one like chapter 5 in one has one line that goes onto a second page or onto a last
Hmm.
page, and then that rest of the page is blank, until you get to like chapter 6, and the other one
Hmm.
doesn't. Totally different category.
Yeah,
It's
it
like the craziest
is
thing.
cray cray. It is very cray cray.
Someone
We
also
got.
told me, and I don't know if this is true, take it at your own, you know, thought process, but someone said that it's like a bot that's reading it, and it depends on the Kindle bot that decides if
Mm,
it's like a night if it took 90 minutes for them to flip through the pages, or if it took, say like 45 minutes for them to flip through the
mhm.
pages. Don't know if that's real or not. Like I said, I got no confirmation.
When I read about that, like how do they kind of like do the time division? What I read is like because it kind of like the moment especially if you're a one-time sitting, if you and with Kindle Unlimited, they can kind of like track how long you are flipping through the pages, and then they take that data and average it out. But I'm not 100% sure because it's just like it feels very it depends because it happens with your book and with Nia's book. They are both, I think, in like the 90-minute category, I think.
I think ours is it's either 90 minutes or it's I know we're not 45. I feel, and we're not 60. It's either 90 minutes to
Yeah.
2 hour. I
Or the
feel like
two
is where we
hours.
our sweet spot kind of lives.
So I am pretty sure, and I think Nia landed on that 90-minute. I can check in a little bit, but I swear I read them in an hour.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, yeah. And I'm like, I mean, I tend to be a fast reader, but I'm not that fast to like
Well, but
shit
I know
30
other people
minutes.
who have read it and it takes them say like 3 hours or even like, a whole day.
Yeah.
So, like it just depends on, like I sent one of TL Russ's books to Deidre to proofread,
Hmm.
and she got back to me. I think I hadn't even finished making dinner, and I was like, "That doesn't even make sense." That you just read it that fast.
Well, Deidre reads really fast.
I know, but that was fast. I feel like even for her, I was
Yeah.
like, "What just happened?" And then she goes, "No, I was pretty slow. I stopped to eat," and I was like, "Lies." There's
If that
no
was slow,
way.
geez, golly. So when you, so the reason I bring the specific like water Kindle short reads is more like aiming, like you can initially try to aim for a workout, but I probably will recommend like time wise, what is your like, are you aiming for people who like read in their lunch time? Are you aiming for people who want a quick read before they go to sleep? Are you aiming for for people who just read when they are like in a doctor's office waiting room? Like, what's your aim when you're trying? What's your target reader when you're aiming
Mhm.
for short reads? Because then you can, okay, if it's just someone who's gonna read in their lunchtime, then you're probably gonna aim for that 60 minute at the very least. And that way you can be like, okay, so now I can guesstimate workout and things like that.
And I always
That will be my
recommend,
recommendation.
and this is something that does, and then I did on my own. Um, this is why I love a good reader magnet. Yes, absolutely. I love a good reader magnet because especially if you've never written a short read, like you can read all of them you want, but once you
Yeah,
start to actually write it and get into that world and like look at it, the great thing about a reader magnet is you can be like, okay, so I'm going to aim for, say, like Laura just said, a 6.5K. Don't want to go over 10K because I kind of want to stay in this range. Write it, but don't write it with like, I gotta only get to 10K. Just write it your
mhm,
regular flow. Write it how you would write the story, how you feel like you've done everything, you've given everything to each character, all the development, you've covered all your plot points and everything else. And then see where you are. Because
yeah,
that's probably going to be your comfortable spot. And then go through and read it. Is there stuff you can take out if you went over that 10K that can get you back to the 10K, or is there stuff you can add if you were like a 5K and then you're like, oh, I'm really underwriting, type of a conversation, or just see if, well, I just don't think I wrote the first Peach Ridge Dear You, and it's longer than the Desleray stories.
yeah,
But when I sat down, I was just like, I don't think I could do this small town any shorter. So all of my
mhm,
Peach Ridge stories, even my Jewel Agency, are actually longer than the short read categories, even though they are still short reads. But they are longer
yeah,
than the time categories because for me, with TL Russ, that just felt like a sweet spot. And I wouldn't have known that if I didn't do the newsletter builder or the lead magnet, because that gave me a chance to see where my particular spot flowed.
yeah. That's a good approach for anyone who has never like ventured into short reads. I've always been an underwriter,
Mm,
so I I knew I wasn't like going to like for the 30 or like I was like an hour read, it's like pushing it because that will be like for me will be like pretty underdeveloped. But usually the pending books are in the 90 minutes because they are usually between 12 to 14K.
hmm
And that is after all the revisions. Because I usually, when I send them, they're barely 10 or 11K
Oh, I remember
after
the 10K
my
days.
revisions and the editor's revisions. Because first drafts are barely 10K.
I wish Des and I had sold tickets for people to see us when we first started Desleray, because we had all these great, lovely plans. It was gonna be like a 8K 10K max each story. We were going to release every week. We had all these ideas. She had her like checklist of stories she was going to write. I had mine. We had ideas for like the next couple of series. We sat down, we wrote like our lead magnets. I think both of them were like, I think Dez's might have pushed. It might have been like 11K. I think mine was like maybe 9 point something. We were like, yeah, we can do this. We got into that first series, and I don't know what happened in that second story in that series. Those books went from 11, 12 to like 15 to like 17 to like 16 to like 18. And somehow we just never found our way back. We really should have sold tickets because you guys would have appreciated this conversation. We were so gung ho. It's gonna be 10. It's gonna be great. No.
I love it. So, because you were talking about like kind of like strategies, I will say, like like both in Desiree and yourself, how do you deconstruct like coming into like short romances? Like what was do you did any research? Like how did we come into short romance?
um,
Because I sort of remember my journey.
Desiree was probably like a year in making without knowing it was a year in making. Um,
Mm,
because I was doing the ghostwriting, and I do remember when I first started doing the ghostwriting, which actually was longer than a year before we started Des. But I just remember like writing them, and I was able to do it like at a like at a certain pace, like pace.
mhm,
And I had always, I'd written short stories before. I think all of us have written
mhm.
like a short story or, like a
Yeah.
flash fiction or something, so I'd done that, but I'd never considered like, oh, you could publish these and like charge this and, create a series and all this different stuff until I started doing the ghostwriting. Because up until
Mhm,
then, everything I'd written for myself had been like long fiction. And I was like, I really want to do this. And so I kept trying to think of an idea that would work. And part of me, because the ghostwriter that I wrote for does actually like cliffhangers. Some of y'all know, some romance folks, they like, what is wrong with you? Don't you put a cliffhanger in my story? Um, so I
yeah.
kept trying to think of like, well, do I go paranormal romance? Because it seems like those are the people who are okay with cliffhanger. Do I go contemporary romance? Like, how would I figure that out? Would I even have time to write, with somebody else while I'm doing that and then my own? And then I was watching a Spy Girls podcast, and they
Mm,
were interviewing somebody who was doing short romance, and she was saying how everything worked and how her journey had gone. And I sent it because I was like, and she was saying she had a co-writer, and I was like, that was interesting. Who do I think my writing style would match with? Like, I know a bunch of people, and that was like, also, who would be good at like writing together? Because like some people, like I feel like you you have a specific way that you write. I'm not sure you would work well with like another person, and you're like, let's do it this way. And you're like,
I don't,
but do
yeah, I
we?
don't think like I am sure like people have asked me, will you be willing to like co-work? Are you open to co-authoring? And I'm like, don't
Yeah, see,
think so
that's what
because
I thought.
I am very like I don't like critiquing once the work is written, I don't mind any critique. Now, if like birthing the story, like coming up with the story, all
Mm-hmm.
the ideas, all the characters, that is one of the things that I adore to do because like I
You
joke
could be in
that
your
I have
own little
a
space
dog
in your own little
complex.
head. And so,
Yeah,
yes,
it's
I
just
had
like
to try to think. I was like, who do I know that could do that? And then I was like, and this person was like putting out books, even with the co-writer. Like, I feel like they were even putting out books faster than that. And so
mm,
I was like, it's got to be somebody who could write pretty fast or who understands that type of pace. And Des had actually just gotten into ghostwriting herself. So I was like,
yeah.
oh, well, she understands like the ghostwriting pace, and she does romance. I do romance. Granted, she does romantic suspense. I generally do paranormal romance, but I was like, we had just like had a conversation about a contemporary romance, and so I was like, maybe. So I just kind of sent it to her, and I was like, we'll see. Whatever happens is what happens. And she never replied, and I was like, okay, great. Guess that was a bust. And then I started working on a completely different story, and I was trying to see if I was on the right track. And she was the person
Hmm.
I could think of the most to send it to, and see what she said, because I had gotten feedback from somebody else because it was a romantic comedy, and I had gotten feedback from somebody
Mm,
else that felt like they took a lot of the comedy out of it.
Okay.
And so that was, and I knew Des watched rom coms and stuff like that. So I was like, she
Mhm.
could probably give me the best feedback. And so we're at a backstage and I'm kind of showing it to her. And she was like, oh my God, I loved it. She's like, no, don't take anything out. She's like, you can rework a little bit here. You know, this is this. She's like, I don't know. Maybe that person just doesn't understand rom coms that gave you that advice. And then we started talking about other stuff. And then I just sporadically mentioned the video that I sent her. And she's like, you sent me a video?
Mhm.
What video? And especially because I mentioned it and then kept talking. She's
Goodness.
like, okay, but can we go back? What video did you send me? And so I was like, I sent it. And so she's like looking through her text, like as we're talking. She's like, oh, okay, I see. She's like, you know what? I'm going to watch it tonight. She's like, that would be interesting. I could, yeah. Hmm. Look at, you know how Des is. She's like, she's kind of
Yeah.
spitballing, but kind of thinking, kind of spitballing, kind of thinking. I'm like, okay. And so I'm laying in bed. I don't remember what I was watching. My text message goes off, and she's like, watch the video. I'm in. When can we meet?
Love it.
And so we
Like,
just
she
kind
was
of ended up
already
meeting like
even
a couple of
thinking
days
about
later.
it before watching the video, and I think probably the video convinced her.
You know, probably. And so like we like met like a couple of days later. We kind of came up with some ideas and names and different stuff. We played around with some stuff and it just felt really easy. And then because I am a researcher, like to my core, to my heart, that's my journalism side coming out. And
Yeah.
so then I was like, well, let's watch all the videos that are on short romance. And then I started looking up like the book recommendations that people had, which was like a Nia Harrington book and a couple of other different people. So I read them, and then I read like a Hope Ford book
Mhm.
that was about short romances as well. And so then we just kind of went through that. We kind of played around. She knew somebody else who were a co-authoring team. So she kind of reached out to them and asked them how they work together as co-authors. So we had kind of a sense of, you know, like, did we want to write things together? Did she want to write one story? I want to write one story. Did we want to, you know, take specific characters, like she's always the guy, I'm always the girl, vice versa. And we have tried all of them. So if y'all try to figure out who wrote what, good luck. We have done every single one. We've switched off. We've written together. We've written individually. We've written a whole series in collaboration. We've written a whole series where I wrote a whole series, she wrote a whole series. And so we
Mhm.
really have tried like all the different kinds of ways to see what works for us. We think we've kind of figured out a little bit of a sweet spot for when we're doing a specific type of story versus maybe one of the other ones that we might try to do
Yeah.
in the future. But yeah, that's a lot of the research and the different things that we kind of went into. And here's the fun fact: it never stops. Because I find myself
This is
still like in the short romance group asking questions or picking up
Mhm.
another book that someone recommends, or like right now I'm doing, what is it, the Insta Love University thing, or um you know, like watching more videos about it, you know, all of the different stuff, reading more, you know, contemporary short romances, because
Yeah.
it feels like it doesn't stop, like it's like a continual learning process of how to
Yeah.
make
It is a category that, because it is a category. Like the romance is the genre, the short reads is the category,
it.
and this is like
Mm-hmm.
very Amazon specific. Um, it's something that changes almost every year.
Yes. Well, and
Like,
I
I
think,
remember, yes,
oh, well, because I was just going to say, like, I remember one of the Insta Love University classes, someone was talking about more so probably in like shorts or Insta Love is where you see the biggest turnover of something because it's so
yeah,
quick to, oh, cowboys are really hot right now, let's all write cowboys, nope, that's faded out, you know, like 2 months later let's write billionaires, because it's such a quick pace of writing that 1 minute cowboys can be hot, and by the time you decide to write a cowboy story, now we're into billionaires, and then by the time you sit down and try to write a billionaire story, then like we're into alpha males, or you know, like
yeah,
something, because it doesn't take a lot to write
yeah,
it, so it changes so quickly. And that was something I don't think I took into account when we first started.
yeah. If funny enough, the way that I got into short romance, I think it was I don't know if I was on chapter 15 or chapter 20, Marina the Vampire, that I got asked if I was going to do volumes to
Oh,
release them on Kindle Unlimited to get more exposure. So I was like,
I can
the
see
way
that.
that I got into short romances and short reads is because I was in the serialized lane,
Mm-hmm.
and people, because bonuses were going to start to fade out, people were like thinking, okay, how can we sort of repurpose our
Mm-hmm.
serialized story to get a bigger audience? And one of the topics was like, do kind of like what graphic novels do, that they do volumes for all of their, like, I don't know, the first 6 issues or the first 10 issues, and they do a volume. And I was having that talk, and I'm like, let me research this. And by researching, I landed on the short reads section,
Nice.
because that's where the volumes of all graphic novels land.
I
And if
like
you
that.
go into short reads for other genres that is not romance, most of what you will see is volumes for
Graphics, yeah.
graphic novels, or
And that
like
makes sense.
companion shorts for like big series.
That
So
makes
that's
sense
how I
because
landed
I do know there were a lot of people in Novella. Because,
there. Yeah.
Lord, I still need to do something with mine. But I do remember a lot of them. What was that big one? Something like the marriage bargain, marriage market, marriage auction, marriage something. I can't
I
remember.
think
It was
marriage
like a,
auction.
yeah, it was a
Marriage
romance or
auction.
something like that. I think she
Yeah.
released it, but it's like 3 volumes.
Yeah.
um or I don't remember, she called, I think when she was publishing it on Kindle Vella, she called it series, like seasons, almost like a TV
Yeah.
show, like these are the seasons, like season 1, season 2, season 3. And then
Hmm.
I do think when she published them, she did call them volumes. So yeah, that's a very valid point.
That's how I got into short reads, and I was like, well, my like fantasy and paranormal worlds are way too big for short reads. What
Mm,
else can I get a bit interested in? And mostly Marina Vampire is like half and half paranormal, half romance. And then I was scrolling down and I saw romance, and I'm like, oh, there's short reads and romance. And I read Billionaire, I read Alpha, I read like some sort of kinky thing that is not erotica, but they have some kinks in it.
yep.
I have read at that time, Mountain Men wasn't big. It was
Oh,
like
mountain men are
Biker,
huge.
I think,
Bikers are
was a
huge,
group at
like
that
MC
time.
motorcycle clubs.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
that is making us researchers, because this is my research back in 2022, end of 2022.
Okay.
So they're like making I'm like, oh, bikers again. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, motorcycle clubs are huge right now. Motorcycle
Yeah.
clubs. I don't think I have a hard time seeing mountain men go out because mountain men feel like they have been
It's
around for
hard.
forever. Like the cowboys have kind of faded and in and out. The
Yeah.
billionaires here and there. Even the I would even say the motorcycle clubs. They had like a big pack and then no and then
Hmm.
back and then maybe no again and then back again. But mountain men, it just seems like they have stuck there.
Yeah, cause
No
at back then,
matter what.
Mountain Man, and now some authors are like small romance with a rugged male love interest, and I'm like, that's a mountain man.
No man. Yeah.
Just call it what it is.
Oh, Sky's got another curvy girls. Yes. Curvy
Yes,
women, curvy
that
girls. Yeah, that's been around for quite some
has
time as well.
been,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it's been like really popping this year.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
My
like
only
this
thing with
year,
the curvy girls
everywhere
though,
that I'm go, it's like curvy women. I'm like, love it,
here's my thing with the curvy women.
baby.
How do I put, like, okay. I know I'm considered what people, for most of my life, I've been considered what people can say is small, you know?
Mhm.
However, given that, if y'all saw my family, and I've always said, like when I was a kid, I was like, I know the future. I don't like to exercise. I'm gonna eat, maybe pop out a kid. This is not gonna last. I'm enjoying it while I can. But like my thing with the curvy women is exactly like, are they curvy? Because no one ever really says it. They just kind of reference like TNA, basically.
Yeah.
Like they don't necessarily really fully talk about like, if you're going to describe a curvy woman to me, then I need you to describe a voluptuous, beautiful, curvy woman, because I've known these women. I've
Yeah.
seen these women. I'm family with these women. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a healthy looking woman. And so I really, are we saying curvy because we're describing like an hourglass shape, or like some like a Marilyn Monroe who technically was not like a big girl,
Curvy.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
type of
This
a
is
thing? Or are we describing someone who, is curvy? And I don't feel like that they ever really fully describe that curvy girl. And that's my problem with
yeah.
it.
See, the way that in my painting has a curvy female protagonist. I'm not gonna say if it's out or not. Try to find in the sea of curvy women. But the way that I kind of like reference the business that she works at, it if you are exposed to curvy women in that business, then you have a myriad of body types that you can
Mm.
imagine. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be a little bit vague so readers can imagine the curvy women they feel comfortable imagining.
And I
But
feel like that's
because
what they're
I
doing.
use but because I use a very specific business that they are in, uh it's really hard to imagine a 12 size curvy women that they use for modeling when they because usually the curvy models in model industry are usually just 12 size or 14
Yeah.
size, and I'm like, that's
Because
not
I recently just read one with a curvy model, and I was like, and actually, I got really offended for her because the director, like, she was doing a photo shoot or something like that. The director of it or something got upset with her because she took a bite of cake. And I was like, okay, first of all, curvy women in modeling that are plus size, A, are not that big, but B, it's a bite of cake. I'm
yeah, it's just a bite.
like,
You didn't
back
say it's
off.
a big bite or anything. It's just a bite. Like, come on. This is funny. It's not, but good guess.
But seriously, though, how would that change play out a
Yeah,
curvy brothel?
I do that
Ooh.
too, but I
I
try to
feel
make
like
sure I'm
you need
getting
to
it.
work on
Yeah.
that, Sky. I like
Me?
this idea. Curvy brothel? No, I was saying Sky. I feel like
Oh,
they need to work on
yeah.
that. Curvy brothel? I feel like
I
this is
mean, yeah, that could be
oh.
a series.
And like
So,
here's a fun fact that I don't even know if I would ever be able to write, and I definitely am not sure I'd be able to write it in a short. But I love a good mail order. I love a
ooh,
mail order.
I
And
mean,
I don't
that could
know,
be in
curvy
like the
brothel, because
2 hour
you put in that
category.
time frame, just kind of, like old west type of something. It just gives me
Yeah.
that same kind of mail order bride kind of conversation. So I think that would be
That could
fun.
work in the 2 hour category
Maybe.
because you can do kind of like even if it's not like all Western style, it can be like suburbia and like each book is a box landing on a new house.
Uh oh.
You
I
know,
think
kind of like
I think I got her.
like step for wife, but not, but instead of step for wives or step for husbands. We're here giving ideas to people.
Well, Sky's already got. She's
Hey,
like brothel that does mail order brides. Like I could maybe see that. I'm liking this. I'm liking this.
no, that could be okay, so this is a thing that happens a lot in short romances, and this is collaboration books.
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
now doing collaboration books because anthologies are getting harder to push because of the new email restrictions.
Mhm.
It's getting harder to build a email list with an anthology. It's slightly easier and less complicated to build an email list with book collaborations because everyone works either with the same trope or with like a same word kind of thing. Like
Mhm. And
there's a
let's
variety of
explain that, because when I first
yeah.
started in short romances, I actually signed up for an anthology thinking it was a collab. So to break
Okay.
that down, an anthology is where, say, like Esther, myself, Sky, I'm trying to, Nia, Vixen of Fiction, we all would write a story that centers around Christmas, if you will, and like it's called like Holiday Husbands or something, and all of the books would go into one book, and we would put it up, say, on a story origin or book funnel or something like that. And the idea used to be that people, we would all advertise it, you know, in our respective spaces. People would sign up
Mm-hmm.
for it. Esther would get a list of all the different people who signed up. I would get a list. Sky would get a list. Vixen of Fiction would get a list. Whoever else was in the group would get a list. You would add that to your list, and that would build your newsletter. And like
Yeah.
there are people who, for years, that's how they've gotten their newsletter to where it is now. And that was a great resource to kind of add people to your list, bring in new readers, get people to like see your different stuff. A collab is when, let's say, I decide I am doing a small town in Christmas, North Dakota, if you will. And I want to do mountain men in Christmas, North Dakota. And so I go to Esther and I'm like, hey, do you want to write one of these books? I go to Sky, I go to Vixen of Fiction, whoever else. We all decide we're going to do it. But instead of it being one big book as an anthology that we give away for free, Esther will release on her book on her Amazon page. I will release my book on my Amazon page. Sky will release hers on her Amazon page. Vixen will release hers on hers, whoever else will release theirs. And what we do is advertise each other's. And all of our
Mm-hmm.
stories have a same central idea or central location. And so that's the difference, mainly between an anthology and a collab. And generally, if you're signing up for one, an anthology is normally a little bit cheaper to get into because they only have to do, say, like one cover, you know, one set of specific ads or something like that. Whereas a collaboration, because you're getting multiple covers for multiple books, um, and they're doing advertisements for Esther's release and then my release and then
Mm-hmm.
Sky's release and then Vixen's release and whoever else's, it's more advertising money, so it does tend to cost more. So
Yeah.
a
Buying a title.
anthology can run you somewhere between 25 to 50, if you will. A collab can run you somewhere between, say, 75 or 80 to even, I think I've seen some 150 or plus. So just so you guys know, both are good. It just depends on where you're at in your writing journal or
Yeah.
journey and which one would work better for you, both financially as well as for what your goals are, you know, in the writing community.
Yeah. This is an in between that a lot of authors are trying out, that they're doing
Mm-hmm.
a collab, but then they're using book funnel and book funnel promos to build
Mm-hmm.
uh the email list with reader
Yeah.
magnets. So there's a lot of
So it'll still
like
be like that
uh
Christmas thing like we did for the
yeah,
anthology, except for, again, everybody will write their own story. Instead of it going in one book, it all goes in one promo. And then people pick and choose which book they want to download and sign up
yeah.
for that person's list.
And this is why, because short reads in the romance genre are like you're not gonna write more than 20K, I think is the highest you can go, and
You know,
28.
some people
Oh,
are
let's
starting
say
to push it.
25.
And it's a question of, is this considered a short read? Because some people, like the 30K is really popping a little bit right now. But a lot of people are questioning, is that still a short read?
The thing is like if it's still a short read, but will it show in the short reads category?
Probably not. That's the other
Which is
conversation.
not gonna show. So the when you go into short romance, and we're gonna talk about like plot the things because a lot of people don't realize how tightly plotted
Mm-hmm.
they have to be because you don't have a lot of like word count real estate.
Filler space. You got
And
none.
it is possible, but you have very limited amount of words.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
And I guess
I think for
it
my head, I
does
caught it
depend,
at
though.
25 because I leave 2000 to 3000 to back matter because there's going to be a point that you're going to have at least three books that you're promoting if you're promoting that series
Mm-hmm.
specifically. So you're going to have almost 3 pages there that you need for just your back matter.
Yeah.
So I usually be like, okay, no more than 25, and that's a 2 hour read. Anything higher than that is not going to show up on short reads. It's not going to. I love this.
Was it something weird? My face sometimes does weird things.
I think you were like, I probably have like 20K books that are not in short reads.
Well, but here's also the thing too: is when you're sitting here and you're thinking of plot, you don't have a lot of filler space, but it also depends on
Mm,
what type of story you're trying to tell and what type of writer you are. If you're someone, say like myself, who's very character driven, and like I want my characters to have a good character arc, where it's not like, oh, they just come in, they see each other, they fall in love, they get smexy, they're happy and everything's great. I want them to go through something where it makes sense that they are together, or they have developed some type of bond or something like that. I can't spend a whole bunch of time talking about like the mailman that dropped off the letter that was the
yeah.
catalyst for her meeting this guy, or like the coffee shop and how she goes to the coffee shop every day, and oh, she's having banter back and forth with the guy who like gives her a coffee. If I'm trying to get it to say a 10K read,
Hmm.
or like a 90-minute read. Now, if I'm getting it to a 20 or 25K, sure, maybe I have a little bit more leeway in that. But
Hmm.
same with like if you're somebody who's very world building and care, like you want to describe the town and the everybody and the ambiance and the feel and the mood and everything else. Again, you got to figure out where your writer is, like what type of writer it is, because you don't have a lot of that extra 20K, 30K that you would in a 60K or an 80K type of book, where you can do a lot of that world building. You got to get in, world build, character build real fast.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about like storyline, plotline. Like, um, for my pen name, I usually, because I'm already on the writer, so I'm not gonna write anything over 15K. Just after all the revisions, naturally, that doesn't, and especially because I'm just writing girl meets boy, they are attracted, they get scared, they take a leap of faith, and they're together. That's
Okay.
basically my overarching aim. And then I decide when I'm outlining whose baggage or whose fear is the one that's gonna take the most words. They
Mm-hmm.
may both be scared, but I'm gonna be like, who's scared? Like, who is the
Who's
most
the focus?
unwilling to get into the relationship? And that's
Yes.
the one that I focus in. That's where we get like the
The
usually the
juicy.
one that initiates the breakup and that kind of thing. Because yes, I do manage to fit a small breakup, which is hard in short romances. Um, so
And
that's
let's
usually
be
when I am
real.
wanting
I
to.
don't
Uh,
I don't know how your breakups go, but I think my breakups are really like, we had a fight. It's 3 pages of me being, not even 3 pages, like a page and a half of me being sad. Let's get together, grand gesture. We're happy.
so mine breakup is like it breaks Like it all happens in one chapter. Like they
See,
break up, and at the end of that chapter, one of them has to be thinking, okay, I need to reach out. And the next
right.
chapter, they reach out to get together.
Yeah.
So usually I think usually my outlines are just 8 chapters. So usually the breakup is either chapter 6 or chapter 7, and then they get together chapter 7 or chapter 8, and then there's the epilogue.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, yeah, it's more like a
Exactly.
hiccup than a break.
It very much is. Like it's unless I do have one story
Hello, Amber.
where there is there is a bit more of a breakup or a bit
Mm,
more of a misunderstanding, a bit more of a conversation, but there is a reason why.
mhm,
And I can't say what it is because it's an upcoming story. So I'm trying to explain this without giving anything away. But there is a reason why, and you still get, like the togetherness and everything else that you need. But yeah, I do agree. Most of mine are generally like maybe end of chapter 5 is where everything hits the fan, and then like
mhm,
by and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we're back together, or we're back up, and it's great.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, usually for me, I mean, it varies between stories. It's usually baggage. Like they usually have a baggage. Don't I rarely pull ex sex as a reason of breaking them apart. It's usually someone be like, "Oh, I feel like this might lead the same way my last relationship did, or
Mhm.
maybe I've been in a lot of relationship and I don't want to be in a relationship anymore, that kind of situation. Like they themselves are not willing to join.
And you said a very valid thing when you said the X sex. Is because generally in short reads, especially with contemporary romance, they do not want cheating. Like you have
No.
to, specify if that's what's going to
Yeah.
happen. That somebody like goes back to an ex, or something is a hookup, or whatever. Like you specifically have to say that they don't want that one. Like an ex can be a catalyst for
Mhm.
someone being like, oh no, I don't. Maybe this is wrong, or maybe that, like giving that hesitation. But yeah, you definitely have to make sure that you have that covered. To Laura's point, she said, I wonder if there are romantasy short reads. So, in the sense of researching, and you continually learn, Sadie King has a new writing short romance book that's out that I've been reading over the last longer than I was supposed to have read it.
Same.
But
Same.
like I just knew I'd be done with that way faster. In there, she does reference the woman who made the is it seven writing figure fiction?
Yes. Yeah.
And apparently she has another book that does, I think, kind of break down a little bit of the romantasy idea. And I haven't read that book yet. I did purchase it, so it is the next one. I also thought I'd be done with that one by now. But I don't know if that is breaking down how you can do a romantasy short read, but I think it might be worth a gander. And
A
I feel
read.
like
Yeah.
Laura, if anybody could figure it out, it would be you because you pack a lot in 100 words.
I I mean, I have looked at the short reads uh in the category the sci-fi fantasy genre.
Hmm.
There are a few. The
Okay,
thing is like it is pretty much what we're seeing in just like bigger romanticies is a lot of it's more paranormal than true epic fantasy.
but I also
Like
wonder.
it's a lot of vampires, it's a lot of
Yeah,
werewolf, it's a lot of like fairies and not like new invention of fairies. They're not like inventing the fairy lore. Like they're pretty much sticking with
mhm.
what everyone understands commonly as fairies,
I do
which is at
wonder.
this point Sarah J. Maas fairies.
And that's what I was thinking. Like, she's the Akatar chick, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I haven't read Akatar, but I know I've watched some other people or heard some other people talk about it, and it does sound like that, and say like a fourth wing and stuff like that. There is a hint of cliffhanger at the end of some of
Yeah.
those books. And I wonder if it's the same as with, say, like paranormal. Because, like I said, when I'm doing the ghostwriting paranormal, it's very much prevalent. This person contacts me, they want a specific length of a series, and they do want a cliffhanger for each book. So it could be possible in a romantasy kind of short read, because those readers are
Hmm.
used to that in a longer read, they actually might be okay
Yeah.
with that in a shorter read. And then you could maybe get away with that. Because when I do the ghostwriting, and I am doing that paranormal kind of a thing, I almost use, say, like a save the cat or a set or a 7 act, 3 act structure for the
Hmm.
whole series. And that's how I break down each specific book. It's kind of like a beat or a different point in that, kind of plot series or plot
Yeah.
schedule. So yeah,
So
so
yeah,
that might be
I
an
I
interesting idea,
do
Laura. I think you
think
could do it.
I do think because you're taking Hades and Persephone kind of thing, um you probably will benefit going on the bigger uh time categories.
Yeah.
And because it is a genre that is more, it's not that it's more welcoming, but they already accept that
Hmm.
cliffhangers are gonna happen, then you almost like lean into it and maximize it. But then I will recommend to do a fast release approach to it.
I do agree.
Because you depend on like hooking that person and not leaving them on the hook for too long.
Because Laura said I'm thinking 2 hours. So I do agree with you that
Yeah,
if you were gonna do it a 2 hour category, does feel like that would be a sweet spot for that, somewhere in that 15 to 20K.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. And definitely if it would, if you're looking to hook romantasy readers and hook short read readers, then I will probably advise to do like a rapid release. Now, what kind of rapid release you're gonna do, that is based on what you have in your plate and what your year looks like and months looks like. But yeah, it's not that it's not there, it's just that it's not as common as other
Yeah.
things like in short romances.
And I
Um,
agree. I don't know why I pointed to you, or hands down.
that's okay.
Um, I agree with this in the sense of, if you are gonna have a cliffhanger, I would have the pre-order like already in
Yes.
the back and ready, because I think that's the I don't know if I say easiest or only, but probably best way to get the read through.
I think it's the
Um,
safest way.
yeah, that too.
Yeah. She's like, I don't need this blood bunny. Why do I do
And this
this?
guy's like, "Wait, is this a new plot bunny?"
I mean, I have heard a lot of Laura's projects, and I don't remember she mentioning a romantasy Hades and Persephone. So it's right now no plots, only five, which Anna will 100% thumbs up
Mhm.
that. Um,
Regina.
is there anything else that we haven't covered about short romances and short reads? I mean, we've been up like everywhere. There has been more like a conversation rather than a kind of like a sort of TED Talk kind of situation. Because the thing is about short reads and short romances is something that we could redo
Oh
this
yeah,
next year, and it will be
totally
at
different.
least 50% of different information.
Yeah.
Easy, easy.
Regina, are you talking about like for the ghostwriting? Like, am I? finding projects through, say, like a Readsy or Upwork or something like that, or Fiverr? Because if you are, that is how I'm finding the ghostwriting projects, and I do like it. I think I've been very fortunate that the person that I've been writing for has been amazing. Very like personable, working with me on a number of different conversations and different things, letting me kind of take the reins, if you will. The decent money is questionable, in the sense of, for what I'm doing for this person and how I'm doing it, then yeah, I feel like it's decent for what it is that I'm doing. Um, if I were trying to build like a full time career, I would need like, I don't know, six, seven, eight of him in
Okay.
order to, like make what would be a sustainable type of a living. So yeah. So it works for what it is that I'm doing, and it covers what I needed to cover, but it's not something that I think you could, again, unless you were doing multiple stories for multiple different authors, then I think that would be the only way that you, and I know people who do it.
Hmm.
It's hard enough trying to focus on my own, plus his, whether doing, and then the photography, doing that. The way that his works are, they're 15K words, and it's 15K words. I have 12 days to write them, and it's six total for the series.
Very
Six.
specific.
Mm-hmm.
So, friends, before I go through all the links again, any other questions? Uh, I kind of like ate the word question when I was
Oh,
trying
because
to
I
say
was like, what happened?
like,
I
what
just saw you
happened?
going like this, and I'm like, what's going on?
So, if you guys have any other questions, let us know down in the comments so that we can, address them.
Mhm.
Again, this was a very much a conversation because we're both in the same sphere, but we enter it from like different areas and we're doing different things. Um, and I cannot say a lot of the things. So,
Yeah, what
uh,
Sky said, I think Mia Brody did used to write. It was like 100K or even higher type of books,
mm,
and I don't think they were fantasy. They were fiction. I think they were nonfiction, and that was, I think, why she was able to make a little bit more. But also, I feel like she was writing that in, say, like 2.5, 3 months. Like, that's impressive.
yeah, that's crazy. Also, Regina, thanks you for sharing. Feels like
I don't know what tropes,
haven't.
Laura.
Let's see. What tropes are going out of style that you have noticed? Uh, Let me think.
Okay, so
What
someone
have I not seen?
someone said um second chance romance isn't as big, but I have some second chance romances, and some of those are the ones that I have like some of the best reviews on. So I don't know about
Yeah. I mean, I don't like one of my better read through shorts. It is a second chance romance. I mean, sort of. Yeah.
Oh, I was kind of laughing at you, but I'm also laughing at Sky because I was like, are we? Her question.
This one. How do you both stay insane, keeping so many stories in your head? I mean, I'm not sane. Who
And I was
says
like,
that we are?
are we sane?
Who says that we are? But this is another thing that Tiffany and I have in common. We have a place that we dump all the things. We don't
Mm-hmm.
keep them in our
No.
nugget. Um, I used to have them like all over the place, and then I was taught better by Tiffany when she showed me Notion, and now pretty much everything is in Notion. Hence, why I don't show my Notion that often because everything is there.
I don't show my
Like
like,
even
because I do a lot of Notion type of videos and stuff like that. It's never my personal Notion.
oh,
Like
it, it's
I have to really know you, in order for you
fact.
to ever see my actual personal Notion. Yeah, because again, all of my stuff is in there, like random stuff. And I know like JC, I think, and Sky have been on a backstage with me, and like I'm scrolling through something because I think I was showing JC how to do something. I was on my private one, and they were just like, wait a minute, what's that story? No, wait, what's that? And I'm like, shh.
It's like let's scroll past.
So yes, definitely organization is key. It is
Mm.
definitely something that I think is very important. To that, it is something, if I can come up with it while I'm in Colorado on vacation, I think I might be doing a series Bible workshop for the summer.
Ooh,
And it would cover not
nice.
only just Notion, it would cover like doing, like if you wanted to use Notion, if you wanted to use Airtable, if you wanted to use like, analog, like pen and paper,
Mhm.
if you wanted to use Google Docs, like all kinds of different avenues of how you can keep track of your story and your characters and how you build your world.
Yeah, that's good.
That's why I said if
Yeah,
I can come up with it while I'm
I
there.
know a lot of people do like Google Drive and they just do Google Docs and Google Sheets for
Hmm.
their story Bibles. I'm like, I don't know how you keep it all. Like, where goes what or what goes where? Because I can talk. But going back to this, because short reads in romance are something that the life cycle is so fast
Yeah.
that it's hard to tell or remember what are been the tropes. And also, this is something that a lot of like short romance authors are leaning heavy into, and
Hmm.
it is creating a world where they can dump any tropes they
Yes.
want at any given time that they might be popping. So it's not like your normal romance novels that they sort of rely more on tropes and kind of like character tropes to like
Oh
pull
yeah.
in readers. Romance, short romance authors are looking for ways to maximize a read through and maximize like entries to their series so you can fall in love with the place, fall in love with all the characters, main and small ones, and then you can peruse their books and maybe you can start with the tropes that you like they already have
Hmm.
published, or maybe you can anticipate the tropes that they're going to write next because those are the tropes that you like. So
Hmm.
for short reads, I don't think tropes are what's moving right now. It used to, like when we were talking about like mountain men and bikers and that kind of thing, yeah. But currently everyone is like leaning into creating a place that the reader wants to stay for a long time. And then the reader can decide what to read next based on the tropes that they like.
I think they're
Does
calling
that
it more
make
like
sense?
universal world building, where it's like,
Yeah,
say you're building like a specific town or
yeah.
a specific like company. Like let's say you have like a whiskey distillery or
Hmm.
um I don't know, like a ranch or something like that. And so then it's like you build this specific area, this specific thing, and then you can drop whatever characters you need in there. But then you also can explode it because, like, I read one story where it's a military hospital or a military rehab place. I think it's something like that. But then it broke out because one of the guys, once he got better, then he also opened his own security um like company. So then he moved somewhere else and now he's doing security somewhere. He brings in all these other people. Now you have a new crop of folks to write the
Hmm.
stories about.
Yes.
Whether it's the people they're protecting or whether it is the characters that are doing the protecting. Then one of the characters, I think, was like the security guard for like a rock star. Well, then you now brought in the rock star band. And so now you've brought in those people and you can drop whatever tropes you want to there. But also, I
Yes.
think I really feel like, and I don't know, Esther, if you've noticed this, because sometimes I'm scrolling through like IG, Instagram, and I will
Mhm.
see people, like with the cover, and then they have like the little arrows that point to like whatever the tropes
The
are. Some
tropes.
of them
Yeah.
tropes, I'm like, I've never heard boy falls off bike in front of house. Like, that's not a trope I know. You are making that up.
I don't remember if I said this on a live or it was backstage, but the trope was like golden retriever, black cat
Right. I
something,
remember
and
you
I'm
saying
like,
that. Yes.
"What?" I'm like, "What is this?"
Like, it
I'm
cracks me
like, "Wait,
up.
I
I'm
get
like,
what you're
that's,
saying with golden retriever, but black cats have a lot of connotations and a lot of, like, different personalities, like, I don't know what you're going for. Like, I need more
like
specifics.
businessman in suit. That's not a trope. That's an outfit. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
And also, that's kinda like a kink and not a trope. Like, that's like saying man's in uniform. That is a kink, not a trope.
So it's like there has been a number of different ones that I've seen recently that I'm
Yeah.
like, is that a trope? Are we making stuff up now? And especially, they always do, what is it, that big stuff your Kindle
Yeah.
thing. And I think I was going through that one day because it does list out the tropes, that people say is in their books. And I was just having so much fun writing. I'm like, apart like two people in an apartment with one bed is not a trope. Shares a bed is a trope. Forced
Yes.
proximity is a trope. But I'm like, two people in an apartment with one bed is not a trope.
It's just a description. A very short one, but it is a description. It's
So yeah, it cracks me up. So who knows? At this point, maybe you can have your own, like, start some new tropes.
you
Like,
can
let's see
create
where
your
they
own.
go.
Yeah. That is that was like that should
It's
be on a t-shirt. I
true.
need to write that. That should be a t-shirt. That's a kid, not a
It
trope.
really I do like that. Especially if you changed it, you're like, it's a kink, it's not a rope. Like,
Yeah.
it's supposed to trope. Hashtag writer humor. Uh, but yeah, I don't
Oh
know. Like,
god.
seriously, the trope conversations right now are just hilarious to me. So it
I'll think
does.
about it. I do say a lot of dumb shit. Um, Perfect
Oh,
Clock. I
there we
do
go.
it. Yes, Deidre is relaunching her romance tropes. I think there's one video
There's one
out.
or two. I can't remember which, because I remember seeing
I saw one.
one. But I
I know
think there
I
might
saw
be two.
one.
Are there one or two? Let us know.
Drop that in the chat.
I
Um,
also, I think, because I feel like I'm subscribed to her newsletter. Inez Johnson, I think. She's
yes,
also
I'm
doing like
subscribed
a
to her.
deep dive into some tropes as well. I don't remember if it's on her
Yes,
website or if it's just on her newsletter, but I feel like it popped up in like one of the newsletters that I was, or videos. I don't even know if it's just videos, but yeah, I feel like it
I
popped
mean,
up
I
there.
see it on the newsletter. Let
Yeah,
me
like that's what I feel like. I saw it on the newsletter,
see.
but I don't remember exactly where. Okay, there's one trope
Uh,
up for Sky.
see. I was like, I know. So it's the newsletter, the breakdown with Ines? Because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she has multiple newsletters.
Oh, really?
That's where she's going, breaking
Wonder
all
which one I'm
sorts of
subscribed to
things.
then.
Um, so yes, here we go. Trope Tuesdays,
Yes,
Tropey Tuesdays.
I like
So
it.
check it out. Okay, I'm gonna go again through all the different links that have been dropped through the hour and 15-minute talk. First and foremost, and it is on the description box below, check out Tiffany's books. You have right now two series you can sink your beautiful themes into, and the closing book of the Jewel Agency releases
Ooh,
this
nice.
Tuesday.
I'm so
So
excited for
you
you
can
guys.
start reading right now, and the book will be out before you're done,
And it
or
is up for
shortly after
pre-order.
you're done.
So if you want to pre-order it so it automatically shows up on your Kindle when it
Yes,
releases, go ahead and do that.
and that way you don't have to go and search for it because it's gonna be already in your
Or you
Kindle.
won't miss it. Like you won't be at like the end of
Yeah.
book 4 and be like, "What?"
Yes. Also, in less than, I will say, in less than 40
Oh,
minutes, author tuber poetry open mic is gonna come up. So here is the link. If you want to, if after you read Tiffany's book and you want more of her writing and Des's, head over to Des Lorey page. Also, this is a great way to support our friend Des, who is having a rough patch,
yeah.
but good days are coming. When they're coming, we don't know, but we know they're coming.
We know they're coming.
So
On the
so
horizon.
yes, sprinkle in some love by reading Des Lorey. And if you wanted to read the How to Write Short Romances by Sadie B. King,
Yeah.
here is the link for it. And let me see what have been all the comments while I was sharing all of that. So many books, new books this year already. Yes. So many books. If you'll want to figure out who Fandom is, I tell you, the Yule Agency series has rocked my entire world. It feels like you have rewired Deidre's brain.
Well, okay, so you know what's really fun is when I first messaged her and I told her I had this idea and everything else in the sense of trying to figure out with short reads, what
Yeah.
tropes would work or what genres would kind of work. And I wasn't sure if this really fell into like romantic suspense, if it fell into like
Mhm.
action, if it, like where exactly it would kind of fit, if it was something that would even the new tagline the fifth book.
Right.
Uh, and so like it was just trying to figure it all out. And so she's like, I don't know, like I feel like it would be good. I kind of want to see it. And then I wrote it. And I mean, like she probably gave me one of the best compliments is that she read Getaway Love. And then she was like her and Regina both gave me like probably two of my favorite comments. Because Deidre read it and she was like, "You've made me think about maybe getting back into like writing romantic suspense." She's like, "Because I
Oh,
forgot how much I loved it,"
nice.
and I was like, and then
Nice.
Regina read it and then sent me a Kofi tip. And I was
Wow.
like, "What?" She's like, "I just finished Getaway Love, and I just had to send you something." And I was like,
Hey, I
"Awesome."
remember when you started talking about this series, like doing like you sometimes like when you're trying to conceptualize, you
Mm-hmm.
start like talking about it, and I'm like, that makes sense, cause I'm in the book club that Confine Her and all of the other things that Tiffany writes and shares with her members are, and I'm like, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. It was like, read Confine Her and you will understand why I'm like, this series makes sense. It's just makes sense.
It was just something weird. Like I was listening to a song and I was like, "Ooh, what if you think it's a double cross, but it's a double cross of the double cross?" And then both of them work together to figure out the real double cross. And that was all
Like,
I had. And
yeah.
so I was just like, let's figure out how that could work. Oh.
It was like it was a no, at least for me, it was a no-brainer when you start thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, definitely, definitely.
Oh
Oh no,
no. Oh,
that sucks.
Regina.
Oh, when a electronic
You
stop working,
know.
like,
Well,
especially
I
when you know
have,
what it
Regina, I
takes.
will say someone in the chat here, not gonna say
Mhm.
their name. No, I'm not even gonna do it that way. Has encouraged like 17, 18, 19,000 times. Once everything's done, to possibly release it in a book format, like a physical book
Yeah.
format with all of the stories in it. So that could be something maybe on the horizon a little bit later in the year. I don't know. I'd have to learn a different formatting because then I'd have to do print formatting.
Um,
I haven't done that since I was formatting newspapers.
I mean, I mention it, but I haven't like said it many times. I know it's not me who she's like sort of throwing under the bus because I think I just mentioned it once. Like once. So
No,
I
it's
am
not
not
you. It's not you.
I'm also not gonna throw the person under the bus. If they do that on chat, that's their problem,
No, they already
not
did.
not ours.
If you go through the
Oh,
chat, it's hilarious. All of them.
yeah. Yeah. I'm like, if you guys tell on yourself, not me, not me. But either check out the prices of Atticus, which is the window version of Vellum,
Mm-hmm.
um, or because some of your friends do have Macs, see if they're willing, if and they are writers, if you divide the amount for the Vellum program and then both can use the program.
So
That's
here's
an
the
option.
fun part. Atticus would probably be the easiest to do it in.
Yeah.
Here's the great part. Remember when I said I haven't done formatting since journalism?
Yeah.
I actually know how to use, say, like Adobe Publisher and like all
Mm.
the different programs. And our library has the programs for free. So I could really just
Oh,
go to
wow.
the library and use their Adobe Publisher and probably format it. But then I'm like, Lord, I got to sit down and go and figure out everything and do it. And that's why I'm
Guy
running the problem.
just solve it for you. She has Vellum.
Ooh.
So just
Actually, I feel
renting
like
Mac
if I
and
told
cloud.
Sky I wanted to do it, Sky would be like, you can send it over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it has
Also,
InDesign as well, which
InDesign.
I know. And so, yeah.
Okay, okay. So I am gonna. Okay, so ma'am, there's two people that have a program, and there's one person that have two programs. This is happening, friends. Where I am putting my foot down. I'm not telling you that it's gonna happen in 2024, but it's gonna happen. When it's gonna happen, you will
We
have
shall
to
see. Well, because
follow
there's
Tiffany's
other, the problem
Amazon
is me.
page.
I'm the problem. It's me. Hi. Uh,
We'll solve it.
it's because I have other thoughts in my head for if I want to do it, how I want to do it, which means that there would be other things that I would need to write.
You still have time because I'm not saying it's gonna come out in 2024. So you can be like, okay, I'm gonna find time to write this exclusive content for the printed
Right.
uh omnibus, and then be like, okay, and then I can aim for like late 2025.
Oh, that look was for Eva. No, I don't do that
Yeah,
on a daily basis.
no. I can tell you that she doesn't. That's not. She could do 5K. That's
Five I
that's
could probably
that's
do and
attainable.
not lose my mind. But yeah.
Yeah, that's attainable. It's
But
just
no, I do not do a 10K day every day. No.
this is so funny. Forever chat. Okay, friends. Yes. So physical books, it will be better and safer to say next year, sometime next year. When we don't know. Uh,
Five, Eva.
Hi Nia, welcome back. You're caught up.
I think are you talking about how many I've released this year so far? Because I think it's four with the fifth one being Tuesday.
And it's still April.
Yeah. Wait a
So
minute. You made it sound like that was a lot. Hold on. Is that a lot?
technically is a book and a half a month.
Oh, because you know what's it's crazy. Here's another crazy fun fact. If you get into short reads, if you're in like any of the short read romance Facebook groups, people are sitting there talking about like all their releases and like their release schedules and stuff like that. Like to me, four feels slow because of everything that they're saying. Like there are people who are releasing like every other week or like
Yeah.
every week or something like that. So to me, four feels like I'm going really slow.
But put it in perspective, it's a book and a half a month,
Yes.
technically. So it's not super fast, but it is not slow. And we don't know what you have concoction in your head and in your notion. So I am not gonna be surprised when you're like, hey, I'm releasing a new series in like August or September or something crazy like that. And I may
I don't know if
know
you
if
want
I'm
me as a
right or
boss, Eva.
not
I don't know if
actually.
I'm a great boss. I mean, I am pretty good sometimes at time schedules, and I
Yeah.
can be annoying, but yeah.
Tiffany is great at like it you're a great assistant. Like you're great at as someone who reels in the group too. You can reel in people too.
I think I had a
You can
conversation. Yeah,
surprise
it's
that
not 24 books
books.
coming out in December. I think
Yeah.
JC asked me a question last night, and I went, "Do you want the naked but truth honesty?" And she was like, "Do you know how to do anything else?"
Oh
And I was
God.
like, "Sometimes I sugarcoat it."
Yeah. That is yeah. They're short, but it's true. It's still
Yeah.
entire plot. So yeah. Okay, friends, this conversation has been fantastic. If you guys have more questions or if we have anything else to say next year, we might do another short romance episode. But for now, in less than 30 minutes, head over to Morgan's channel where the author tuber poetry open mic will be happening. Um, check them out. If you have some poetry that you would like to be read or you would like to read, uh, reach out to JC or Morgan and see if they still have some spaces, which I'm pretty sure they
I think
still
they said
have.
last night, even if you hadn't signed up to still come through, and they would send you the
Yeah.
link if you message them. So
Yeah. So head over there. We are probably see you next month. Um, we will probably have a special guest. I'm still like in the works with that one. And check out my community tab in the next week because I will be dropping the Google form for the anonymous critique that way back. I talked about it way back in January. So the form is gonna release soon. So if you've been looking to get some critique if from the Romance Writers Room, but you're too shy or you just don't want to be live, check that one out because that's gonna be for you. And is there anything that besides your release on Tuesday final score. Is there anything else that you would like to promote, Tiffany? The floor is yours.
the only other thing I think of is well, number one, uh subscribe to my channel because I think I'm supposed to do Saturday or not Saturday chores, PJs and Scribbles this Thursday. Not positive if that's going to happen. I have a really big photography week with some crazy deadlines that came out of nowhere for this week, so I'm not positive time frame if that's going to be a doable conversation, mostly because my computer gets really offended if I open Photoshop while on a live stream. So I may have to postpone that to like the following week or something else, or do a pop-up at some other time. And then Small Town World, yes, that's the other one I was going to say, is Nia and I on Saturday. We are doing Small Town World, and we are talking about characters and like adding your characters to your town, like whether they are main characters or background characters, or how to kind of, build your town but not overwhelm your town with people.
Yes, 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 yes. Uh, I don't have anything to promote. I will be probably around because May, I wrote down all the things that I need to write in May, and oh, it's a doozy. There, I have a couple of deadlines in May.
I'm out of
So
town
you eat.
from the 15th to the end of May. So I'm
You're
trying
out
to
of
get
town?
as much, yeah. So I'm out of town from the 15th to the end of May. So I'm trying to get as much as I can done before that. And
Yeah.
like it's insanity.
Yeah, I have to technically write 4 books, 4 short romances. Um, I need to finish the revisions for 50 pages for a partial critique. That is due, I think, for the 12th. Barrett is gonna be here mid May, and we already planned a couple of things. And it's gonna be a month.
May is gonna be wild, guys. But I will say this: if I can get the stuff that I want to get done in May and have a good base, y'all will really like me for the rest of the summer.
Nice. Ooh, and I had the marketing videos that I need to. Oh, jeez, I have way too many things. Um,
Yeah, I got a
anyway,
whole marketing
anyways,
push
friends.
of stuff that needs to happen for Jewel Agency, as well as a few other things that I have in the back of my head for May, and I'm not looking forward to doing any of those graphics. It'll be great.
Yeah, so we're we're very busy. Best way to get in contact or keep in contact with us is follow our channels.
Mhm.
Check out ours on on your favorite social media that we are in it,
Sign up to our
and
newsletters.
subscribe to our newsletters. Because if everything fails, you will hear from us in a newsletter.
Mhm.
So I'll make sure to get the links for the newsletter for Tiff, and I'll add them on the description. And mine is always on the description, so that one is always there. So yes, friends, thank you so very much for coming to the Romance Writers Room. The next one is on May 26th, if I remember correctly. And
And
if
the
I
writers'
remember
room won't be back
correctly,
until June. I don't have the date, but
yes.
just FYI.
So May is just gonna be the spinoff happening at the end, and then on June the OG Romance
Mhm.
writers room, not the Romans. Well, if the Romans, both will be back. We'll be back on June. I think May we're talking about queer romances. So,
Ooh.
uh, if that is your jam, if you know someone that is your jam, or that's something that you would like to respectfully get into as a writer, then mark May 26th, I said, right?
I think so.
Yes. Yes.
The Romance
So
Writers Room is
that's
going
it.
international in June because I believe that's when Richard is coming on.
Ooh, nice. Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Oh yeah, we are
So,
all. Aren't you in eight? Aren't you doing something for AWC too?
not, I mean, I am on her panel.
Oh, okay. And no, I'm wrong. JC is on in June. Richard is July.
Okay.
We kept going back and
So,
forth.
but this it's still gonna happen, friends. It's still gonna
Yeah.
happen. It's funny enough that it's gonna happen in July, but I love that. So with that, friends, we will bid you adieu. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and we will see you around. Goodbye.